Please take a seat. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much, Beatriz, for
No, thank you.
making it all this way. My name is Simon Wright. I am the Director of Programming here at Japan House London. And welcome to the event, Yellow Flower Dream, in conversation with Beatriz Milhazes. I'll explain a little bit later as well why it's me. Today we are broadcasting live from Japan House London in front of you, a physical audience here, and also a virtual audience on Zoom, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And the event is being recorded, and a recording will be available and archived on our social media platforms for people to view later. So today's event explores the development and design of the artwork Yellow Flower Dream by contemporary Brazilian artist Beatriz Milhazes, and a replica of which is upstairs, of course, on our ground floor in one of the glass booths by the window. And I hope you'll be able to have an opportunity to see that. This piece was created for A Art House, an open-air gallery on the island of Inujima in Japan's Seto Inland Sea. And this is a project which is a part of realizing the concept of transforming the island's landscape and the lives of the inhabitants, which is also explored in our current exhibition, Symbiosis, Living Island. We are delighted and extremely privileged to be joined in person by Beatriz Milhazes herself for the event today. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you. I think this project is a very dear project for me. So when I knew that I have this opportunity, coincidentally, I would be in London. So it's a pleasure to be here and talk, and yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And people may be wondering why we have a Brazilian artist in Japan House. And I think we will be looking at that a little bit later. But for those of you who may not know so much about Beatriz, Beatriz Milhazes lives and works in Rio de Janeiro. Her work is characterized by vibrant colors and the optical movement and energetic visual cadences. And her abstract work fuses a diverse repertoire of images and forms, combining elements from Brazil and also European abstraction. She's one of the most important contemporary Brazilian artists today. She has exhibited at the Venice Biennale and also had numerous international solo exhibitions in Basel, in Miami, in Sao Paulo. And her work is included in important museums around the world, in the Museum of Modern Art and the Guggenheim Museum in New York, for example, and the Tate Modern here in London. This was going to be an event in conversation with Dr. Sofia Gotti from the University of Cambridge, but unfortunately, Dr. Gotti is not able to join us today for sudden unforeseen reasons. But we will continue to look at a lot of the work that we did in preparation with Dr. Gotti beforehand. We will examine a few questions which Dr. Gotti has very kindly already provided for us. So thank you, Dr. Sofia Gotti, for that. And we'll be able to take a few questions from the live audience and also from those watching on Zoom towards the end of the session. So thank you so much. Dr. Gotti would have come at this maybe from a different angle. I came in contact with you through our exhibition, Symbiosis, Living Island. Could you tell us a little bit about how you got involved in this project on Inujima, in this tiny little island in the middle of the Seto Inland Sea in Japan, and how you have a relationship, I think, with the curator of this exhibition and also the curator of that particular concept on the island, Hasegawa Yuko.
Exactly. So I think everything is that exactly in 98 when I met Yuko Hasegawa for the first time. She is an international curator, one of the most important. And when she organized a show about Brazilian artists, and then this show travels to the Museum of Contemporary Art in Tokyo. So from that point, Yuko has been developing things with Kazui Sejima, Sejima-san, who is the architect, who is also responsible for the island, the Inujima Island. And then this kind of a triangle in different kind of steps or perspectives between Yuko, Sejima, and me. We did projects before, and actually Inujima is the third one when we really work together. So when Yuko invited me and then sent some videos about the island and about the work that exists. So I don't know if you know, but like Inujima is part of a 3-island project, which the main thing is Naoshima. And basically the idea is the Fukutake Foundation. And basically the idea of the Fukutake Foundation is to give to each island one architect that would be the manager of these islands. In terms of what? In terms of developing from agricultural, nature developments to art, and of course including tourism. So the art and these possibilities of developing things in the island and including the community, and make this community more alive. That is the basis of the whole thing. And then Inujima, so when Yuko invited me to these projects, of course it's something much more ambitious than the ones before it was involved my works, my paintings. I'm a painter, basically. Yeah, I'm a painter, but and so it would be really work with architecture, what was something that I had started very recently, doing public art, but in a bidimensional kind of a perspective. If like the project I did for the hospital, the Presbyterian Hospital in New York, what is actually some two different panels, one in ceramic, and that's 43 meters long for 4 meters, 4.5 meters high, and a big panel on a painting panel in the lobby, what is 130 square meters. So it was my perspective dealing with architecture, what really excited me. So when this project came, I said, well, this is a kind of a combination between a sculpture, and because the house, it was there already and developing, and it was red that I was speaking with Simon. I said, the project was finished. So it was not something that we were collaborating from the scratch. And then I needed to do an interference in this space. And actually, I prefer to decide that really make it and work with the volume, with the building in itself, instead of installing something inside the space that would be possible to install.
Because Kojin Haruka, the artist
exactly.
who had been there before,
exactly.
treated this space, this art house, in a completely different way.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And you were just telling me upstairs.
Yeah, so we did just, yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
I think
because it's a flower shape. Mm-hmm. No, it's like if you have a daisy, and then you cut the circle in the middle and you take it off, and then you have a kind of a patio in the center. And so actually what you could do here, that enter and being exactly in front of the glass, there is a glass, the glass wall, there you cannot, because actually you only walk around or inside this kind of a patio. And so what Haruka did with the other artists, the Japanese artists that were before me, she hang things and it beautifully inside this space. So, and then she creates something, some kind of a wave, and a magical movement with dropping marbles inside. So my challenge, I said, yeah, I could do something inside this and hang it, something like interior design. But then I decided now I want to work with the whole solid block and architecture. And then it was when this idea come true.
So we can see here the panels actually behind these residents. There
with
you are.
The community.
And you mentioned that if you stand in one point in the center,
exactly,
they disappear, yeah?
Yeah, because it's you see, you know, the reflection. So you have it's the petal. So this glass wall was on a vertex, how you say it? Like the when one petal meets another, and then you have this flat in the middle. So the only thing that Sejima, when I said to her, I want to really interfere in the architectural thing, she said, the only thing I don't want that happen is that you block completely the view of the exterior. So because you have the city, you know, you can see the town around. So the houses. And so she didn't want to, and there is a garden too. And so it's like, she didn't want me to block. And so that was also another challenge because how to make something happen with my art, my drawing, and also leave it open, that clear open. And so, and then it's when this idea came true. So that's only work with this line like this. And there is one point in the center of this patio that when you look, you don't see any of my drawing. Everything disappeared, what is fantastic.
And what we're very lucky to have is we can interact with the pieces upstairs, whereas of course as Beatriz mentioned in Inujima it's enclosed.
Yeah.
You can't get so close to it. So we are very lucky to be able to have done that.
Exactly.
Thank you. And you mentioned actually that you're a painter. Really,
Yes.
You said yes, you're a painter.
I am.
How does this relate? This three-dimensional sculptural work relate with your two-dimensional?
Yeah. Exactly. So actually, my relationship with architecture started, well, not exactly with architecture as a subject, but architecture as really work with architects. That is something that is new, no? Because I'm a bidimensional artist, and all my meanings and interests and main interests are based on that. So this idea of starting three-dimensional things, what really start in sculpture, very slowly, actually starts with the set designs I do to my sister dance company, because my sister has a contemporary dance company. And so I start with the sets. And then from the sets, sculpture, which is still based on a mobile things. Not mobile or mobile, what's the best mobile?
Mobile. Things that move.
Things that move, yes.
Yeah.
So mobile. So this is so it's from that point that is still a little bit like there. So I start going to this possibility of the public art because like when you do a project for a hospital, you needed to think about this. It's not just about your work. It's not just about my paintings or my interest in art, but my language, but also about the people that will be around. And that is what motivates me. And that is what exactly started this interaction. So in this case here, also that happens because in the relationship with like Sejima and Yuko, we all are very connected to modernism, you know? And this, and especially Sejima, she's connected with the modernism, the architectural modernism that were developed in Brazil, especially Niemeyer, Oscar Niemeyer. So she had a big research on that, and also is a strong reference for me since my beginning, the Brazilian modernism that happens in the 30s and the European modernism. And so so that is an interesting thing that also put us together, because we have this kind of a synergy in terms of understanding points that were placed by these artists and architects, and thinking for the future and thinking about our contemporary, our moment, our contemporary time.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, we'll... If I answered you.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And I think we'll get back to the concept of how we linked with Brazil and Japan as well a little bit later on.
Exactly.
But thank you very much for elucidating how this has come to pass through really mainly what you do, two-dimensionally. Maybe we can work a little bit about your work with the community, because we see people might be interested to see the slides that are coming up, showing the activities that exist within part of this art house project in Inujima. It's not just an art installation, it's also involving the community and the visitors to the island in various activities.
Exactly.
And you were, of course, a teacher until about 1996, is that right? At the Parque Lage School in Rio de Janeiro.
Exactly.
And that, which is also where you trained, I believe.
Well, exactly.
Right? Could you maybe talk to us a little bit more about the activities that you engaged in with and what you thought about for the activities?
Yeah, I stopped teaching in 96, so and then only did like some programs that, especially in America, they have a lot in North America. So that the visiting artist program. So talk with the students that are about to graduate in painting. And so they invited artists that they are interested to talk. And then that has been the only contact with students in general, or practicing, workshop, practicing something, the art that I've been involved since 96. But also I work with children in the 80s. Before I studied, it was about the same time I was studying art and finished university, and then I also work with children. What is something that I really stopped by that time, and I decided to pick up more recently. Actually, it was exactly when I did my show at the Fundação Baile in Basel. And then they asked me if I would myself coordinate like a workshop with the children, like in the educational program. And I said, yes, let's try again after a long while, because that was 2012. And then I had stopped work with children in the 80s. So, and that it was fantastic, because when I did it, I said, yes, I think that's something that interests me again, you know. And it was specifically children. What I've been doing when I have an interesting moment to do it, connected with exhibitions or not, with my exhibitions, or maybe like the Fundação Cartier organized just a workshop that I did, and it was not when I had the show, it was after that. So in Inujima, the community things is a very, very important thing, because Inujima, Naoshima, and Teshima, they are 3 islands which people live there. So it's like it's not just it's not about like a collection, public or private, that when the owner decide to develop artworks and invite people to visit in a different, to have this experience with art in a different way of a museum or art gallery. There is a city, it's a small village, not a city. No, it's a very, very small.
I mean, there are fewer than 50 inhabitants, yes?
Exactly. Inujima is like about 40 people living there, and the average age is 8 years old. So they are elderly people, and it's about to extinguish, the island. And so that is one of the things that the Fukutak Foundation, they want us to try to make it alive again. So there specifically, I wanted to, my work, what I want, since we started the project, since we started the installations of the thing, and when I pick up the colors as a reference to translate, and when I did like the yellow that you see, because actually the original one is white, and then the yellow was a big discussion that took a long while. And then the yellow, it was, because that was the yellow, it was a kind of a meeting between the abstraction and the narrative, because I selected as a reference to the sun, because the weather in this island is a difficult weather, no? And also they include like tsunamis, eventually tsunamis, so they have actually now posters and trying to make you aware this possibility. So I decided, I think it would be good to bring this kind of a reference, a more strong kind of a live reference of colors in the middle of this more like a gray environment. And the reaction of the community was very good because since they participated in the installation, took pictures of it, the whole process of installing the vinyl, there's kind of a stained glass that I did, and then collecting it. And actually, if you visit Inujima now, you see like some of the houses, they put on their houses the pictures of the process, you know, during the workshop, what they did with me. It's very funny. So they said, thank you that you brought this kind of like I don't know, happiness, no? This is to the island. So, but my goal would be really, and then I told them, like, I organized this workshop, sorry, going backwards a little. So that is, yeah, exactly. Pictures of I was just to work with children, but then I said, why not this community? They don't have children actually in any of these.
There's no school, is there?
Yeah, they closed the school at Tashima 1 year before I arrived there. So they don't have actual children in the area. And so, and I said, why I don't do with this community, you know, and then we can make something happen. And they really like, they caught this idea very happy. So I took, of course, the environment a lot, of course, my drawings, my the colors, the organic, the morphology, the possible morphology that happens in the construction of the compositions as a start point, you know, to the proposal for the workshop. And then they have a kind of a transparent sheet of paper, it was not plastic, something like there, but it's like a transparency. And we have leftovers from the installation of my, from the vinyl, the installation. And so they were free to cut out this and building up the whole, everyone had a piece of this material. And then they did how many they wanted to do with the leftovers. And then afterwards, we build up for the entrance because there is a small office. And when you arrive in Inujima, there is an office that actually is very much based on ecological. This is a different architect that was invited. And so that he, Kambushi, which is a fantastic Japanese actor, you know, and then we did a mobile with the whole drawings of the thing. What it was also something really beautiful because in the way it was transparent with the cutouts of they did with the same material. When the light would come through, the natural light, it was doing kind of a magical experience too for the entrance. They were super hyper engaged and it was a kind of a party, you know, and they were super dressed. They organized, so mostly women's, no, the men's, they were there just as visitors eventually for the cakes in the end. There are only two, I remember. They participate in this, and then so
just two men.
Just two men. Yeah. As far as I remember, no men came along. They came afterward just for the party, the things like the cakes. But not the practice. And then I asked them, why they didn't come? And nobody replied me.
This project, though, is quite characterized by women, isn't it? And
yeah, that's true.
It's something which Hasegawa-san, for example, when she was here and she started to talk about the exhibition, wouldn't mention until right at the end. And then she talked about how the whole project, the whole art house project and her collaboration with Sejima-san on the island of Inujima is because it's the second part of the Fukutake Foundation project on the island, isn't it? There is the Seirensho Art Museum, which was built originally as the one art museum piece by a man. And then you have the Inujima Art House Project, which is led by two women, Hasegawa-san and Sejima-san.
And also like the Garden of Life, that's also Sejima, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And Hasegawa-san was saying that this was a much more of a communicative or a much more of a collaborative project and that she said was very much identified by working with women is what she mentioned. Do you feel this is?
Yeah, that it was the real, 3 women. Well, for them, I think they are very powerful people, and they are, what they do in Japan is a huge achievement, because I'm not into the Japanese culture as much as I would love to be. And actually, Inujima, if I was living more closer to Inujima, I would go there more to do more activities with them, because it was something that really pleased me a lot. But is what Inujima, what Sejima and Hasegawa-san have achieved in terms of it's not power in the way like to be power, but in make things strong and important things happen and being respected by that. Because I think it's like I think like a sensibility and spirituality and domesticity is part of what we women have, and I think it's important. We may have a different look to life, you know, but it's very important that we also are recognized by our intelligence, you know, because it's like and that is I think is a very important point, because it's not that it's okay the other side, but it's also sometimes it's important to be recognized that you can add things and you can think and moving forward things, important things. And I think definitely they did it in Japan. And then they have been respected by what they introduced as new points in architecture, in the curatorial system, and now she's the director of the museum.
Indeed, but also in your world, I would suspect as well.
I am I will not talk about myself. No, I think I achieve a lot of things too, yes. And I've been respected. But it's every day kind of a battle.
There's an importance in the
because it's very subtle, this kind of a thing, you know. I know I feel really respected. I feel really respected for what I achieve and my work. I don't complain about anything. And I think it's like Michelle Obama said recently, and I said, that's the point. If you want to do, you know, because I think it's not being sitting complaining about things that didn't happen. If you want to do something, go and do something, and you'll be able to do it, you know. And I think, I'm sure I did it. I'm sure Yuko did the same, Sejima did the same, you know, you just do. But at the same time, it is an everyday thing. It's every day, like you need to be, you know.
Another theme that comes.
Like I love men.
Even if they don't take part in your workshop.
Even they take.
Another theme that comes out as well from the work on Inujima, and very much in your work upstairs, as we can see, is from some of the motifs, I think are quite explicit, is this idea of the ecology of the island. And there's a strong idea to make the island sustainable in so many ways, not only through energy, but also through its living environment. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about...
Yeah, I think it's in the way like trying to, so every single piece of this, including this relationship between the modernism, the architectures, like it mentioned Nehemiah again, Oscar Nehemiah, but like this kind of integrating the nature with the building, you know. So that's kind of an exchange that is an important point that has been developed since the modernism, and then Sejima is one of the master, like continues with this idea. And also the like a Kambuishi, no? The architect, like everything the office and the museum were developed based on idea of not just about saving and using the solar energy, but actually using natural lights as the main lights for the offices working. what sometimes, no, it is experience. That's I mentioned it because it's like the first time I visit, when the sun, it was winter. And so it was like very early, it was absolutely dark. And I was like walking, then the building started being completely in the dark, and I said, where is the light? Look, how can I turn on the lights? And then no lights, you know? So you just walk inside the building in the dark. And that is very interesting because, of course, you cannot walk in the dark, but like it's like just places that you don't really need light, you know. But we are used to do it, and so this is like very interesting because then a kind of a learning point how to manage. But then the agriculture, no, and the garden of life, no, because the garden of life is based exactly in also based on a big research about all nature around that has been destroyed by the copper company, no, the copper industry that were the main thing in that island and have been really punishing the nature around.
It was a very industrial island.
Industrialized
yes,
island.
Big stone quarry and the copper refinery.
The copper refinery, and so that's that is one of the reasons that these islands were about to disappear when the refinery stop working there. But then they are like I don't know how to say in English, but they are trying to rewriting this story, you know, towards the ecology, like trying to make all the devastation that the old story did. They are trying to pick them up and make like it alive again, you know, and sustainable in terms of the people that live there or young couples that they start moving back there. They don't want just employees of the foundation. They want like someone like one of you that are here today and young, and then you want to go there and make your life a possibility in one of these islands. So agriculture is one possibility, tourism is another possibility, and art development is another possibility.
There's a certain amount of domesticity, isn't there, in contrast to the great industrial plants that existed there before?
Exactly.
It goes with this
intimacy, you know?
Intimacy,
yes. It became a kind of a project that brings a lot of intimacy.
And
yes, it's a perfect, Inujima it's really like a choice, no? Because it's a kind of an isolation area. But at the same time, you are in Japan, no? And then Japan is a very strong country. And so it's like like the girl who works with me directly in the production, that she was young. She is one of the persons that decide to live there. She is an employee of the foundation, but now she got married. She's young, and then she should have lived. She was living in Tokyo, and actually she graduated in Chicago, in America, and then she went back to Japan, and now she, you know, she make that choice, working for the, and then she's a wonderful person. Wonderful person. She really very young, but she understands everything. Very Japanese. So you know, like she kept it. She studied in America, but she kept completely the culture. She's fantastic. And then she is like she made this choice.
I heard that Hasegawa-san told me that once the art house project started and visitors were moving around the island more and becoming more involved with the inhabitants, people started to tidy their gardens more to make it look a little bit tidier, but took more interest in their environment at the same time. And so the interaction, the symbiotic nature of creating something and
exactly
externally, but created the
and also like my proposal to them that they use the art house as part of their lives there, because they have this community small space that is also very nice, of course, where they do the parties, the things in general, you know, they meet, and so it's a meeting point and whatever. And so they could bring to the art house, to this patio, when the weather allows them, but they could. And they, I think if I would be there promoting things, you know, or now there's that work with me, because she's also very, very, very close to the people who live in Inujima. Now is the Kitamura who work with me, the girl. And so we would promote more things. I think you need some, but they definitely go there and do things, and then, you know, and trying to look things differently, especially because it's also abstract, you know, it's has a reference. So the abstraction has this possibility that is a kind of a word that only exists in art sometimes, you know, and then opens the door for you to think differently, for your imagination, for is based in landscape, but they were like a landscape. Where's the landscape, you know? But and then at the same time, it's open up, you know, a possibility of thinking a different way.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And they, what was what? Go ahead.
We were also speaking before, right at the very beginning, coming back to the installation as well. Why people may be wondering why on earth we have a Brazilian artist in Japan House London. But this does bring up various ideas of well, transnationality, as you know, across borders. And I remember when our exhibition Symbiosis is a touring exhibition. It means it's already been to Sao Paulo in Brazil, the Japan House there. It will go to Los Angeles after London. But they don't have in those two Japan houses necessarily the space upstairs that we have, where we've been extremely fortunate to be able to install this.
Yes, that was quite a gift. Yeah.
And I was extremely, personally, when Hasegawa-san, we were talking about what shall we do with this space with regard to the Symbiosis exhibition. And she mentioned you, and that this will be the first time that we haven't had a Japanese artist in Japan House London. This is amazing as well, in the way that it shows the international reach of the project. Maybe you could talk a little bit more about, I mean, some people may or may not know, Japan, Brazil, and now this work here in the
no, I don't know if you know, but like São Paulo, specifically São Paulo and Pará, what is one of the states of Amazon in Brazil. We are the second biggest community of Japanese out of Tokyo. And so it's like, so we have this cross with actually is when Hasegawa-san have started, no? Because when I met her the first time, it was exactly because she was involved about developing a show about the Brazilians, and then afterwards she connected with Japanese artists too. So it's this huge community. But I think also my work has this kind of a sensibility and spirituality that is about humans, and which makes it transnational somehow, because it's I've been noticed independent of the world, the art world, you know, curators, people, the galleries, or you know, museums. Independent of it, it's clear for me now that my work has a communication with people in general, no matter where they were born or countries. I've been showing in different places. I am an international artist, I could say it now, Brazilian, but international. And it is incredible, like how the reaction, it looks, people has a reaction as is familiar for them, these things, you know, and they communicate as they are meeting a friend, you know, they are meeting something that's attractive. I think that is, I can say it's transnational. My language became something transnational, and maybe it's not just about the abstraction, but I think it's about this spirituality and sensibility that is based on a human interest.
Yellow Flower Dream makes me smile, so I think I hope it will you as well when you look at it more closely. Thank you. I think we have time actually for some questions. Should anybody have any questions in the audience, this is your opportunity to speak directly with Beatriz Milhazes. Does anybody have any? Oh, right over there. Thank you very much. If you could wait for the microphone to come to you.
Hi, thank you. Did you think about making the panel spin with the wind and things, or was it always going to be static panels?
Always been static.
Okay.
Yeah, it could not. Actually, when I arrived in this point, working with a mock-up, a model in Rio, and when we arrived this point that I could have like walls, glass walls with the drawings on it, there are many possibilities. Like you said the spirit, so we have like different possibilities of where to put the walls, you know? And then, but the thing is, I respect that what Sejima-san asked me, because she didn't want to block the way, she wants clear. Well, I would have other ways to leave it clear and have walls in a different position, but at the same time that would change a lot the whole thing. And then I decided to make it more like a simple between quotations, but like make it more like she would not be, oh, Beatriz, but that is you know, like they have a list of things that she could possibilities of seeing clear towards the color, the reflection, because when sun comes or things is reflected from the floor, reflected on the nature, on the garden around, that are still under, because we finished this, we had 2 moments of launch in the project. So in the last one that were in 2019, so it was before the pandemic arrived, and then the garden there, because of the weather, it takes a longer time. Because actually, I don't know if you know, but the garden, the garden, not the garden design, I don't know how to call it, it's a gardener that takes, that really is there, live there, because he also make it as a choice, is the one, he's from Tokyo. And he worked with Sejima in Tokyo. He did many projects with Sejima in Tokyo. And then when he had this possibility, he decided to move and live in Inujima. And then it's like, he is the responsible for the garden. And also he is the responsible for my garden, the garden of the Art House, but took so long. It's like, and then the pandemic arrived, they were really isolated, you know, and so they needed to stop all the work and, you know, and so they are picking up slowly now that things are getting a little better.
You talk about the light, actually. I have to say that we're very lucky. Well, I suppose somewhere I've promised you a picture already, haven't I? That the light...
We're competing with the weather in Inujima.
At the end of the day, the light comes from the west and bounces off the building on the other side and then bounces back into just where Beatriz's installation is. And we do get to see all those colors.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I love it. Because there's when this reflection comes through, because it goes into the garden, it goes into the floor, and it's on top of the weather, and there's diagonals, no? It depends, because it creates a different volume. And so it's really nice. And like she said, like the color, if you, when the sun is stronger, and then the reflection creates a kind of this more spiral thing. Yeah.
Thank you. We have a question from Zoom, actually. Has your work on Inujima has it led to any further work in Japan, or do you think it will?
No, not yet. Yeah, no, I would, no, not yet, yes, no. But I think it's an open up for my own practice, you know, for sure.
Do you...
That was like a kind of, and then there's the exchange, you know, between them, it's fantastic. It's always a very fantastic kind of a thing.
Do you work with any Japanese artists, or have you, or is there anybody you want to work with, maybe?
Artists? Not that far right now, thinking no. I don't, no, I cannot say.
Is there any Japanese artists out there who fancy
Don't take it personal. No.
Thank you. Do we have any other? We do, yes. We have one in the front, and then we have someone behind as well. So if we could wait for a microphone to right to the front, please. Thank you.
What was your inspirational, like, what was your inspiration to put all those patterns on a panel? What went through your head when you saw those patterns and you're like, this goes well with this one, this color goes well with that one? What did you feel and what did you think?
Yeah, so that it's a long answer. And then, well, I would say there, I would suggest to you first to, if you have a look on the internet, to think about my work, and then you understand a little better where it comes from. And then, but here it's like I try to work with the idea of a landscape, because if you look I work with two possibilities of leading with the idea of landscape. What it is already a subject that is part of my practice as a painter in my studio. So, but then I use the waves as like a kind of a horizon, you know, and then the kind of ocean. It's an island there. So, and then I use also a kind of landscape that's also a vertical composition, which is also very traditional in the Japanese landscapes. And so I cross elements that reminds you possibilities like the sun, that was the color, and so the shapes of the organic shapes, and connecting and trying to connect it with some of the things that I research around, you know, the colors. I did a kind of a translation that comes from natural colors that you could find there to like a very industrial colors that comes from the vinyl, the adhesive vinyl, you know, and how to make a composition based a little bit on this. So it's it's 17 there. It was 17 panels, and I did these as a painting, no, on the paper. So they are drawings, and then they were translated to the vinyl. And then I follow every step to make it happen. I work directly with the vinyl instead of trying to, because it's like I make my own plan and my own drawing, but already looking for the possibilities I had on a vinyl and trying to pick up things that are more there. And that is another thing that is interesting, because the nature in the islands are very delicate. So if you look around, you see like a lot of green, but the flowers they are very small flowers. And also the people who live there, they all have their own gardens, no? And also like a vegetable gardens too, because they make their own foods. So, and then it's like everything is very delicate. If you visit the Garden of Life, this developed by Sejima, and I forgot the name of the gardener, which is a brilliant person. It's all very delicate. And so actually, if you pick like, oh, he has this yellow with this orange, and then you bring like industrial vinyl, boom, it's like that was a little, I didn't know how they would react, because it's not like delicate, no, but it's I would say it's there, no, so it's different in the way they develop the colors, no, and it's a different sensibility about how to make it. But it was good.
Very accessible. They've obviously
Very
enjoyed it.
accessible, exactly.
I might be.
I don't know if I will answer your question, but go have a look in my work.
Thank you very much. And I know we had a question from behind, and then somebody at the back as well.
You were speaking about domesticity, which I found very charming about your work. And I also seem to notice some elements that could be from Brazilian folk art or street art. Is that part of the universality of your work, to bring the decorative and things that are normally thought as minor or feminine into this big scale, bold and vibrant?
Yeah, it is. So I have, I think painting is like have all the history, you know. Is a medium that is, I believe in two things. Like first, like if you decide to be a painter, you need to look what they have done already in the whole history, and you needed to try to introduce new things to move forward, you know. Like a scientist, I feel many times as a scientist, like introducing new elements, new motifs, every group of paints that I'm going to do, and then you create a kind of a chain reaction, and these will evolve to something new. So, and I have, and so painting has its own story. So, and the way you decided to do something about it, so it's like, you have, in my case, I am interested in things that comes from life, come from my life, my interest in life, my surrounds, my context. And so based on that, because when you think, oh, it's about Brazilian culture, I changed a little bit in the last few years. That's not exactly about Brazilian culture, what of course interests me a lot, but it's about my context in Rio, you know, because it was a choice for me to keep my studio and live in life life in Rio. Because step by step, when I start internationally, I start through South America and then North America. And then it was like when I did my first solo show in New York, everybody, like my first art dealer, he thought I was young, and I thought I would move, I would immigrate. I was ready to immigrate from Rio to New York. And then I said, and then you know, so you start thinking, you know, I want to move to New York. No, I didn't, you know. And then it was a strong decision by that time. And then afterwards, nowadays, I could say where I want to live, I could choose it. But I really need this context. What is much more about context than my own culture, you know, is the energy that comes from nature. And definitely we in Rio, we really have real nature, is ocean, mountains, forests, and you have exactly this popular manifestation. So from popular art to geometry. So I have a list of things that interest me. And I think and I try drinks all the things that motivate me to take it to my own work. And I think the geometry is what makes me to understand and develop the painting as maybe something new. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I know we had another question right at the back. If you could keep your hand up, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you very much for your encouragement. As a female person, I got such a brilliant, sensational sort of thought. But by the way, my question is very, very simple. I know that you are transnational artist, but is there any kind of challenge? What was the most challenging issue or aspect you had while you were in Inujima that time, if there is any? What was the most challenging aspect? Or
you think like living with the community?
whatever.
Well, the first thing, it was unfortunately not to speak Japanese. Yeah, because I think for me, I think it's very important to speak the language when I'm, of course, we have the English, no? Which become, my English is not so good, but became my second language, no? Because it's the international language. And then I can speak French, I can speak Spanish, and Portuguese is my, own language for my country, and then don't speak. I was in Berlin before I came here, and then it's when you arrive in Berlin, then I work there, and I cannot speak German. I know everybody that I live with speak English, but it's like a German speaking English that is not in their language, me speaking another language that's not my own. So it's a kind of in Japan, that was something that I really missed, not to speak Japanese, because it's always translation. And then translations is translation. I know people that I felt that I have two lives, one in Portuguese and another one in English. And then because people that I know for 20 years and people that are close to me, friends or professional or the mix of it, they never understood me in Portuguese. And so it's no, because it's a process. It looks like something simple, but it's not so simple. It's a very, and actually time is passing, it's getting worse, no? Because as more as you know that you don't know,? And so it's like yeah, but it's okay. But in Japan, that was my, and the translations, you cannot follow anything, anything. So, and then I give lectures in Tokyo because I have this activity too. And then it's like, I don't know if they are translating exactly what they said. And in the community, to talk with them, because there are some people there, they are amazing. There is one woman specifically that she is there since she knows the whole story. She's about 100 years, and she is completely active. And then and then they actually, now she is at the museum, and she has a schedule in the museum if you want to know more about the history of Inujima. She was born in Inujima. And so it's like, I would love to talk with her, I talk, but like with this translation, she follow everything. She gave me a gift actually in the end of the thing, because she do something handmade thing. And it is like I would love to really talk with her.
I think the importance, obviously, thank you for your question. I think the importance of this project is, in fact, that it does transcend language, that I think the evidence from the slides that we have of the involvement of the community with anybody, there are other workshops, haven't there, that Sejima-san specifically, architecturally based, especially on the renovation of the various aspects, which are ongoing on the island. Yeah. It's evolving, isn't it? Involve people from overseas, and I think this interaction doesn't always necessarily need language.
Yeah, no, and the painting itself, the work, it is a language, a strong language, It's just about that is this side of the communication, because it's a real thing. Yeah. And so it's like, that's it. I miss it already, but it's nothing that would become, it's like with Sejima speaking English and me speaking English together. Sometimes I don't understand what she says and she doesn't understand what I say. And how's it go? No, it's true, because you have experienced it and And so like this is I think it's a transnational kind of a communication.
I think this transnational communication that you're talking about, I think is pretty wonderful, actually, and I think we're very lucky.
No, you're
We're very lucky
I feel very privileged to have all these people, like to work with these people. It's like a gift for me,
It's been a gift for us today, actually. Thank you so much.
Thank you
I
very
think that's
much.
all we have time for, unfortunately. Will you please join me in thanking
Thank you.
Beatriz Milhazes? Thank you. Thank you so much. We're very privileged, very lucky to have you to visit us for this very short time. You only arrived in London a few hours ago and you came straight to us, so thank you so much.
Yes.
Indeed. Thank you to Dr. Sofia Gotti, who unfortunately couldn't be with us, and we wish you a speedy recovery. And thank you to everybody here in the hall at Japan House London and also online. Our exhibition, of course, Symbiosis, Living Island, is open. Please do go and visit, but of course, the special part, if you came today, of course, is to be able to see just what Beatriz has been talking about, and that's upstairs. And you won't see it in Sao Paulo because it didn't go there, and you may not see it in Los Angeles either, so only in London. And also, if you're interested in film, very different, we're continuing our series of windows on Mifune, the story of various films of Mifune Toshiro. This one is Throne of Blood, a take on Shakespeare's Macbeth. Thank you very much once again. Thank you to everybody who's joined us today. Join me one more time in thanking Beatriz Milhazes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.